Morales.
Welcome back to another episode of Sovereign Self. This is ZofiaRennea, and today we are talking with Cheryl Meyer about it feels good to feel good. This is about learning to eliminate toxins and reduce inflammation, and so that your body feels great again. A lot of us, I know, as we get older, say, "Oh, well, I hurt because I'm over 40 or whatever." No, that's bullshit. Pardon my French. But before we get started on that topic, I I want to ask you, how was 2019 for you? I mean, really, how was it? Did you get where you wanted to be? Or did everything in your world get tossed upside down and you had to reset and start fresh? I know that has happened to me more than once, or I've laid everything on the line and did not make it across the line. And so if you didn't get there, know that you're not alone. If you had to begin again, congratulations on getting back up and taking it on again. Or if you are just sick and tired of going it alone, I've got a little something for you. I have brought together 32 of the best soulful entrepreneurial experts from around the globe, and they have all come together to share their expertise, from having fun to making the cash flow to finding the soulmate clients to getting seen and heard through all of the noise that's out there on social media and in the world, to actually having both a business and a life. There is support, and there is exactly the right person to guide you into your own personal sweet spot in 2020 and start off this decade stepping past your limitations, stepping out of the historical ruts that you've been in, and really bringing yourself and your message and your mission out into the world. And I'm so stoked about this. And the best part is it's online. So you don't have to travel anywhere to get it. You just register and show up, and it is free for you to attend. So I am stoked about this. This is part of the reason that Sovereign Self is sponsoring this summit, because I think it is so important that the soulful ones, the ones who are living soul-led lives, get their messages out there and become the biggest, best versions of ourselves that we can, that our businesses, that our passions come out into the world and touch the people and make the ripples in the water. And so it's so important for me. And well, I sponsored it. I guess that says a lot. And if you are interested in participating, you need to go to 2020resolutionskept.summit.com. That's 2020resolutionskept.summit.com and register. It costs you nothing to register. You'll get notified each day as we go through the summit who's up, what they're talking about, so that you can plan to make this new decade your bitch, if you will pardon my French. Again, 2020resolutionskept.summit.com. And now I will go ahead and introduce our guest today, who is also going to be part of the summit in the health aspect. This is Cheryl Meyer. And 7 years ago, she suffered from inflammation and autoimmune disease. She found a functional MD, actively purged and replaced hundreds of toxins that were in her life with much more supportive things, and eventually returned to wellness. She then wrote an award-winning book, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reverse Inflammation, and Feel Great Again. And in it, she explains where the toxins are found and how they're impacting our health. And unfortunately, they seem to be just about everywhere. They're impacting our health, our children's health, the health of our earth. And there's a tremendous toxic load that we're working under, especially here. Well, it doesn't even limit itself to the first world. I mean, there's plenty of it that's going on in third world countries as well. And each toxin you can pull out brings us one step closer to health. Cheryl has a bachelor's from the University of California, Berkeley. She's a health coach, Cheryl M. Health Muse, and her certification is from IIN. Cheryl is an award-winning author, international bestseller, health coach, speaker, local TV host, and podcaster. And she encourages you to listen to your own body and to own your own health. Welcome, Cheryl. I am so happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And I'm looking forward to the summit.
Yes, me too. So tell me, how did you get started on this journey? How did you end up in this situation where your health had gotten to this point? Tell me a little
I
bit about
had
that.
my own business. I had my own jewelry business. I sold majors all over the United States and I designed jewelry specifically for them. And I was working 24/7. And my body was, and my angels were trying to tell me for a while that my toxic load was building. I didn't even know about toxic load, but I also wasn't paying any attention.
Yes.
So the first thing that happened was I was getting rashes all over my body. Then my underarm deodorant either made me rash or made me blister. Then it was
Oh,
my mascara that was either making my eyes run and red or was making my eyes itchy and crazy. And it just kept building. I got terrible hay fever. I had a business partner who used to say, God bless you every morning first thing and say that lasts for the day because I sneezed constantly. And all of that was my toxic load building. And then I used fabric softener.
uh-oh.
And that was a problem. The rash was immense. And
Mm.
so we took the sheets and we put them way back in a corner and we stopped using them. But someone came and visited and did me a favor and did my laundry and dug them out. And
Oh
I woke up
no.
and my lips, my tongue, my eyes, everything was swollen shut.
Oh
And
no.
so still, I knew something was wrong, but I wasn't connecting the dots that I was on my way to autoimmune disease. And 3 weeks later, I woke up in terrible pain, terrible pain. I almost couldn't get out of bed. I had brain fog. I was more tired than when I went to bed. I was lucky because I'd had my business for 20 years and I had a great staff. So they took over the business. I went to a conventional doctor who ran tests and ran tests and ran tests and finally called me and said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, but I'm going to give you steroids.
Oh, because there's nothing wrong with me.
I said, why would I take steroids if there's nothing wrong with me? I said, but beyond that, I can tell you there's something wrong with me because I hurt. So my staff continued to run my business and I dug in and I didn't even know what I was looking for. And I was lucky because I tripped into the functional medical community and they were running a series of symposiums with multiple doctors and I watched all 20 of them.
Let me ask you a little, I want to dig into this. You tripped into it. Tell me about how you tripped into it because I always love these divine coincidences.
I was just searching on the internet trying to figure out what was causing my pain. And the first doctor that I found that was functional was somebody named Dr. Amy Myers, who was a medical doctor and in medical school when she got Graves' disease,
Mm.
didn't know better and allowed them to remove her thyroid. And so she was running a summit about the fact that if you get sick, you don't have to do that. There are other ways because it all starts in the gut. And as I listened to each of these doctors, most of them had been conventional medical doctors who got sick and could not help themselves. And
Hmm.
let me explain quickly what functional medicine is.
Yes, let's do that.
Functional medicine, my doctor went to Yale. She is a full conventional doctor, but she too got sick. And so she went back to school to get certified by the Institute of Functional Medicine. And the difference is a conventional doctor tries to find what body system is not working in your body. They listen for the first thing you tell them when you go to the doctor's office, and
Hmm.
then something goes down the chute and they match the pill to the complaint.
Mm.
A functional doctor does not do that. They look at the entire body system because they want to find out what's gone wrong. And each system has to work in tandem with the rest of them. They work together. And so when I finally got to my functional doctor, she looked at me and she said, "You're sitting on a tack." let's find out where that attack is, because until we get to the core root cause of what's going on in your body, we're not going to make any progress.
Yes, exactly.
And it was like night and day. All the tests were different. My conventional doctor gave me an allergy test. Only thing I was allergic to was the tape that held it on my back. My functional doctor gave me a sensitivity test, which my conventional doctor said phooey to. I had 18 of them, and by eliminating them, I eliminated a major portion of my pain right off the bat.
Isn't that something? I can't say enough good things about functional medicine docs and the doctors who take the holistic approach, because there's something about the way that doctors are trained now. It's like there are silos, right? Oh,
Right.
well, he's a brain guy, and this is a thyroid guy, and this is
their
an
main-
orthopedist.
Their
And
main source of information is their pharmaceutical rep.
yeah, and the body is not in silos like that.
No.
Your knee is connected to your circulatory system, it's connected indirectly into your digestive system, and all of it has to play together. And so the pain in your knee may have something to do with what you're eating.
Oh, yeah, it probably does. It comes down to, in functional medicine, they believe it all starts in the gut. And so before I got to my doctor, I kept going, they keep talking about leaky gut. What causes leaky gut? And so first thing was stress. I always thought stress was good for me. I thought getting chased by the tiger made me get more done. Well, guess what? The tiger caught me and he almost ate me.
Yeah, exactly.
My cortisol was so low by the time I got sick that I was almost to Addison's disease.
Yeah, and that'll kill you.
It will. And so the first thing I did was to try to find out what was the difference between stress and chronic stress, and how could I catch it before it was at a chronic level, so that I could really said, I joke that it's like releasing the steam off my Instant Pot all day long. I have a series of little 2 or 3 minute exercises that I do that just keep releasing the steam so that I stay calm. And I know they work because one of them I do on the way to my doctor's office, and I'm in LA traffic being aggravated, and I'm, looking at the clock thinking I'm going to be late. But I walk in and I have the lowest pulse of any patient she deals with, because I do a breathing exercise all the way to her office. And then my blood pressure is normal when I walk in. It used to be sky high because I was so frustrated trying to get to her. So it's all these little exercises that keep my stress level calm, which was the first step in allowing my gut to heal.
Okay.
Okay. Then the next one that I attacked were toxins. Okay, didn't know where the toxins were, but I figured I would figure it out. And there's actually a database called EWG, the Environmental Working Group.
Yes.
And listeners may know them because they put out a Dirty Dozen Clean 15 list every year.
Yep.
If it's on the dirty list, you only eat it organic. And if it's on the clean side, I still eat it organic, but you have a choice. You can buy it conventional.
Exactly. I love that list. I take it shopping with me.
Yeah, I actually have a card that I printed that I hand out to my clients because I forget sometimes which one is this on. But they have a database of hundreds of thousands of items. Not exactly user-friendly, but all the information's there. And I started one by one looking up everything in my life. Little things.
That's a hell of a project.
Oh my God. My cosmetics, which was an expensive French makeup, was a 9 on a 10-point scale. Your skin is your largest organ. So whatever you're putting on your skin is going directly into your body and increasing your toxic load. I didn't even really understand the difference between conventional, organic, and genetically modified food. Even though in California, genetically modified food was on a ballot, but there was so much bad information passed, it did not pass. And had I really understood what it was, there was no way that I would have voted for it. So I'm happy to explain what genetically modified means.
Why don't we do that while we're having this conversation? Let's go through each of those.
I'll try to tell you that it means that food has always been engineered. That's not what genetically modified is.
No, that's very different from specific crossbreeding to get a certain trait.
It's
I used to genetically modify things.
Right. Yeah, you're the scientist here. Genetically modified is one of two things. They have either put Bt toxin into the plant. And what is Bt toxin? It means that if a bug eats the plant, it blows up his little stomach, and so he doesn't eat the plant.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he also blows up all the good gut bacteria in your gut, and Bt toxin is the gift that keeps on giving. So once it's in your gut, it replicates. So it's now killing all your good gut bacteria, so you're not digesting your food properly, and it's cleating all your minerals and vitamins right out of your body before your body can absorb them.
Yeah, and that's a problem too.
The second kind of genetically modified actually makes that worse, and that's glyphosate. Plants are made Roundup ready. And if you've been paying attention, there have been 3 lawsuits lately where people have sued Monsanto with the help of Robert Kennedy Jr., and they have finally gotten the proof that Monsanto has known for 20 years that Roundup or glyphosate causes cancer. Still out there being sprayed on our food, still out there being sold to us, but it's time for us not to buy that stuff because it's going to make us all sick.
Well, yes, I will just throw in the comment that when I was in the business of genetically modifying things, and I wasn't doing like food, I was doing like bacteria to determine certain things about how they function. When the Roundup thing was mentioned, the pathway that it interrupts in the bugs, which kills them off, we have that pathway too.
Right.
And I remember thinking when they said they were doing this, well, that's stupid because the plant is resistant to it, but that doesn't mean that we are.
Yeah. And it's causing havoc all over our body. But to even make it worse, it's not allowing our ground to have the minerals in it because it's cleating them out before it goes up into the plant. Yeah. So not only is the glyphosate not letting us get the minerals and the vitamins, but then the Bt toxin is not allowing us to absorb it. So
the little bit that there is, it binds it and just takes it out of the.
And just as a side, we are all very deficient now in magnesium. It's responsible for 325 different enzyme reactions in our body. So that'll tell you how important each one of these minerals and vitamins is to how our body operates.
Yeah, and I have that terrible time keeping my magnesium levels where they need to be.
I not only take one in the morning and one at night, but I take an Epsom salt bath before I go to bed, which is another form of magnesium, which not only relaxes me and lets me go to sleep, but keeps my levels up.
Exactly. Well, we're going to have to take a really quick commercial break here, but when we come back, I want to find out a little bit more about how you resolved your own inflammation situation. And then a little bit more about how this brought you into your mission. So hang tight. We're going to have all kinds of good stuff coming. If you would like to talk with Cheryl or I after the show, outside of the show, you can find me on Facebook at ZofiaRennea, that's ZofiaRennea. And you can, if I can find it here. There we go.
I'm there, Cheryl.
You can find, Cheryl at Cheryl M. Health Muse on Facebook. And stay tuned. We will be right back. All right. Good job. How's it feeling?
A little disjointed on my part, but it feels good.
Yeah, it'll come together. It always comes together exactly the way it's supposed to. So
I'm going to jump in here real quick.
Yep.
Hey, Cheryl, you're coming in really good, but you're coming in just a little tad bit loud for me now. Let's go back in the audio settings real quick and then just turn you down maybe 2 clicks down.
Hey, here.
So yeah, instead of going all the way up, go maybe about 2 down a little bit.
How's that?
What'd you have for breakfast today?
Eggs.
Eggs. I think he was hoping for a longer list.
Actually, my husband made me an omelet, a Denver omelet, loaded with vegetables.
Much better. We'll leave it right there. Perfect. Alrighty. We still got about a minute here.
Great, thanks. Doody-doody-doo.
Alrighty, everyone. Here we go. Coming back.
Thanks.
You are listening to Sovereign Self with ZofiaRennea Morales. We'd love to hear from you on the show today. Call in to 1-866-472-5795. Again, that's 1-866-472-5795. Or if you'd prefer, send an email to asksophia@transformationspace.co. Now, back to Sovereign Self.
Thank you for hanging in with us through the break. This is ZofiaRennea, and I'm here talking with Cheryl Meyer about how she began to unravel her own health woes here. So tell me a little bit about how you came to the fact that what you had was an autoimmune condition.
Actually, in the beginning, for the first year I was researching, I didn't know, but by listening to all of these symposiums, it sure sounded like I did. So I started to proceed in my research as if I did. And so I started eliminating toxins. By the time I was done 5 years later, I had eliminated hundreds of them from every area of my life, from my food, from my cosmetics. I no longer take any over-the-counter drugs at all. I cleaned up all my pots and pans and how I store my food. We put a whole health system on our water so that we weren't getting the toxins from our water. And there's even a list. You can look up your city on EWG and see what's in your water.
Oh, yeah,
which is pretty disgusting. That's a new function that they have.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. We'd like to think that Flint, Michigan is like an isolated problem.
Yeah, but it's not. And it's even worse if you're drinking your water in plastic, because it's less regulated than what comes out of your tap, believe it or not. It leaches the toxins from the plastic, and it releases little tiny beads of plastic into your water, which then go into your body. So it's like a triple threat. You don't need it, and you're paying 1,200 times more for it.
Yeah.
So we bought stainless steel canisters. We carry those everywhere we go. If we're going on a longer trip, we have jugs that we fill up. And I just talked to somebody who's in his last stages of being able to reverse osmosis water from a little tiny travel system that they take in their car.
Nice.
Which I'm excited about, because we go back and forth from LA to Sedona fairly often. And if we don't have enough water, I won't drink it from plastic. So it's great that you can clean your own water.
Understandably. Yeah. And the flexible plastic bottles are like the worst thing that you can get, because it's the thing that makes them flexible.
Right.
That's the toxic thing that's leaching out into the bottle.
And then there's all your cleaning things. The worst thing in your house is your fabric softener, as I discovered, but also those little packets of soap that we wash our clothes with and wash our dishwasher.
Oh, those cute little pods. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if a toddler were to eat that, you probably couldn't get him to emergency, That's how toxic they
Yeah,
are.
they're terrible.
So all that stuff had to get cleaned up. I found an incredible cleaner that is almost so clean you could eat it. And I actually accidentally used it as a salad dressing one night, and we did eat it and we were fine. It's a 1 on the
And it tasted good.
It didn't. It certainly. I kept saying this doesn't taste like vinegar, and it wasn't. It was Branch Basics, which is this plant enzyme that cleans. I fell in love with it because when I eat eggs, I spray the pan, and they just slide right off 5 minutes later.
All right,
I'm going to clean it.
I'm going to have to get your book and look that up.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I use it to clean my kitchen floors. I use it to clean everything. I even use it in my laundry, and they make a booster that's completely toxin-free for your laundry.
That's beautiful. I love enzymatic cleaners. They do such an amazing job.
And they're really lovely people.
And that's even better, right?
Yeah, they discovered that they had a synthetic ingredient in their product, and they immediately took it off the market. And it took them almost a year to reformulate it, but now it's back. It cleans as good as ever, but now it's 100% organic.
That is awesome. And it took you 5 years to go through this journey.
Yes.
And
but
then
I started
eventually
long before that. Each toxin you eliminate gives your body a chance to start to go back to the place it's supposed to be. And eating real food is critical.
Yes.
You want to buy real food that's organic from a farm that's close to you as possible. You want to eat all the colors of the rainbow, because believe it or not, each color has a gift by itself, but together there's a synergy that is fantastic for your body. And if you start eating that way and you cook and you stop eating all the processed and the fast food, which have very little food value for you, if you start eating real food, it takes maybe 3 or 4 weeks and your body starts to celebrate.
Isn't that something? Now, I know there's always what I want to say, a budgetary concern that goes with making a change like that, because we've been trained for so many years, just get the cheapest stuff you can get to stick in your body. It'll be fine.
But unfortunately, we're choosing convenience over health. Mm-hmm. The first thing I found when I started to research this was a farmer who said to me, "You think it's too expensive to buy organic? Have you priced out cancer lately?"
Yes.
That makes you stop and think. And the second, when I'm working with a client, I go through a list of, are you stopping for coffee every morning on your way to work? Mm-hmm. Could you eliminate that so that you could get quality food? What are you doing that you could change about your lifestyle that would loosen up some money? Are you going out to dinner all the time with friends? Could you invite them to a potluck at your house and have everybody bring healthy food to you? There's how much are you going out drinking? A bottle of wine at home is a heck of a lot less expensive than a bottle of wine out. There are places that you can save money because your body will rejoice and you will see the difference.
Well, and I found the longer I was on a cleaned up whole food, make it myself diet, the less I ended up going back to the darn doctor.
Yep. And that saves you money too.
Exactly. And getting rid of the prescriptions and that sort of thing makes a huge, huge difference.
Right. Well, we're 37th in the world in health in the United States, but we're the richest country.
Absolutely pathetic situation.
And 53% of our children have chronic illness. So
kids should not be chronically ill.
No,
I'm just saying there's something wrong when the kids are chronically ill.
They're popping out with as many as 290 toxins in them right at the point of birth that they're getting from the mother's umbilical cord. So they're starting off with a significant toxic load right from the beginning. And believe it or not, the father's toxic load also impacts the baby because it's in his sperm and in his DNA.
Sure.
So we need to start paying attention to this, or the reason our healthcare system is broken is because everything else, our food system is broken.
Yes.
All these toxins are in all the other products.
Isn't that the truth?
So if we clean that up, then we'll all have good healthcare because we won't need it so much.
And that was the other thing that I found. I get I share a lot about my journey and the things that I've changed in my life, because significant numbers of food allergies and sensitivities and other things that were going along with the Lyme, which I finally got rid of. But I would share this stuff, and a friend would get excited. Oh, I need to know who you're going to, and I wonder if they take Etna or whatever. And it's
Right.
when I would share with them that no, this is a self-pay thing. Oh, well, I can't do that. And it just frustrates the piss out of me.
Well,
What do you tell people who are allowing their insurers to tie their hands?
Well, I called 50 doctors in Los Angeles and found one functional doctor that takes insurance.
Okay.
So it is possible. But even if it's not, it's worth it, because if you could feel good again and be as productive as you were when you were in your 20s, what is that worth? It's worth a lot.
Yeah.
So just to go and get to the core issue of your body and to get a roadmap of what you need to do to clean that up. I had so much pain I could almost not function. I will always have autoimmune disease, but I no longer have pain. Yes. I'll tell you, that's worth all the money in China.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge. How did you decide you were going to become a health coach? When did you decide to take this on as your mission?
Well, I learned so many things that I was completely clueless about. What kept going through my head was, I wish I had known it before I got sick.
Mm.
If I could reach people before they got sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I decided that my BA is in English. I didn't think that was going to give me credibility to talk to people about what I had learned. But I've become like a little encyclopedia of health with all of my research. So I went to an online school, which is IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I got certified from them so that I can get out there and spread this message. I kept running into people who had stories very similar to mine, who were frustrated because they were seeing doctors who were not listening to them.
Oh, God.
Mine didn't. Mine thought I had lost my mind, that I was pursuing.
Oh, my goodness. I had one GP. I fired him right after this conversation. I came in with like the 4th sinus infection that year. And I'm like, there's a problem going on here, and my head hurts, and I've got this sinus thing. And he's like, you have allergies. I'm like, that's not a solution. He's like, you've got allergies. Just get used to it. Screw you. I'm going to go find another doctor.
Well, and one thing I want to tell everybody listening, you don't have to put up with feeling lousy. Don't accept that. He is certainly gotten a lot of education, and we need our doctors, but you are the who said of the greatest magnitude of your body, and don't accept it. Keep researching. Know that you can reverse a lot of it and feel great again. And no one will be more surprised than your doctor when you turn your health around.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So many that there's this word that they use, incurable, which when they use it, they're saying there's nothing that can be done. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at that word incurable, it's curable from the inside of you.
Right.
You really
That's
do
great.
have the power over this. And there are 2 healers in that room, and the true healer is you.
Yep. And so know that you own your body. Learn to communicate with it. I was not paying attention to my body at all. So take a minute and go into your body and ask it, how does it feel?
Yeah.
Because it'll tell you if it feels good or it feels lousy. And if it feels lousy, if you change your food and you get rid of the toxins in your food and you start to cook and eat real nutrients, of which there are none in fast food, and really not a whole lot in a lot of processed food. If you eliminate the sugar, which is as addictive as cocaine and is impacting every organ in your body, if you start to make decisions that how you feel is a priority to you, your body will tell you that it's happy. And it doesn't take long for it to do that.
Well, and your body will communicate pretty clearly with you. I know when I was going through the food allergy thing, I did an elimination diet before I actually got any of the formal sensitivity testing. I was like my little mini experiment of one. Let me try
Yeah.
this and see what happens. But my body would tell me very clearly if I had eaten something that it didn't like. I would get my heart rate would speed up, or my breath would get short, or I'd get like really mucusy reaction in my throat and my nose and my sinuses. I would break out the next day. I would bloat up suddenly the next day if I'd eaten something that didn't agree with me. My body was being very clear with me on what it wanted and what it did not want, but I just wasn't listening to it until then.
Well, and I have a lot of people who tell me, I don't need this. I'm healthy. It takes 20 years for toxic load to build up to go over the top. And you probably have a lot of the signs already, even if you're well. I actually have a blog on my website, 20 signs you're not as healthy as you think.
Exactly.
Because, all these people who say, I don't need to hear this. Yes, you do. And you need to hear it for yourself and for your children. It's important that you pay attention. Little things, like I would look in the mirror in the morning, and some days I was puffy, and I call those not such cute days. And other days when I look pretty darn good. Well, guess what? The days when I was puffy was inflammation.
That's
I just
right.
didn't know what that was. I hadn't connected the dots yet.
Well, and I had acne for years. Acne that just wouldn't respond to anything. They actually had me on antibiotics for almost a decade to try to control my acne. I got rid of dairy from my life. No more acne problems.
Right.
And that's something. So I have so many more things I want to dig in with you, but we are coming up on another break here.
Okay.
So I am going to just share with the listeners out there that we are going to start looking at stress. We're going to look at some of the big things that you can do in your life if you suspect there may be something like this going on for you. So hang with us. And if you'd like to talk to us over on Instagram, if you're an Instagram baby, go to ZofiaRennea, ZofiaRennea, and Cheryl is Cheryl M Health Muse. That's CHERYL M Health Muse. And we can continue the conversation there. Otherwise, stay tuned and we'll be right back. Boy, the time is flying.
Yeah, and this segment felt really good. I got a lot of great information shared, so.
Yeah. I think I'm not going to worry so much about what are you doing to get your message out as to go into stress and how stress factors in. So we are set up well for your free gift.
Okay.
Oh.
Can I ask you a question quick?
Sure.
I'm on your panel about New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
I don't make them anymore. I could talk about them because I used to make them all the time. But
I think that's fabulous.
I pick a word for the year.
Yep.
And my word for 2020 is going to be visibility.
I think that is a fabulous thing to contribute into the discussion.
Okay.
Because many people also don't do resolutions. And it's not all about, oh, resolutions are the most amazing, wonderful thing since sliced bread. This is actually more about how do we really bring lasting change into our lives.
Right. Yeah. And to boot the fear and just get out there with what I want to say.
Just do it.
Yep.
Love it. Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so that'll be fabulous. And if you want to bring questions around that, like, why don't you set resolutions anymore, Cheryl?
Because I never kept them. And I forgot them by the end of January.
Exactly. And it just got to be such an icky word for me.
Whereas I will actually do a vision board all about visibility so that it's right in front of me and I stay focused on what it is I want to get done.
Exactly. Love it. Yay.
then I'll answer your email about that.
Fabulous. I forget which one you're.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Coming back. Here we go.
Thanks.
To Sovereign Self with ZofiaRennea Morales. We'd love to hear from you on the show today. Call in to 1-866-472-5795. Again, that's 1-866-472-5795. Or if you'd prefer, send an email to asksophia@transformationspace.co. Now, back to Sovereign Self.
Thank you so much for hanging in with us. This is ZofiaRennea, and I'm here talking with Cheryl Meyer. And we had just finished talking about listening to your body and what it's trying to tell you when you eat certain things. I know this time of year, the stress tends to come up, above normal levels.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stressors you might not even deal with at other times of the year.
Exactly. So how did you start to study stress, and how did it become clear to you that you needed to focus around that as much as the other toxins in your life?
I always kind of knew I had a stress problem, but I learned early on in my research that stress is cumulative. And I figured out that it wasn't so hot for me, and it was always at a chronic level. And so part of what was causing havoc on my body was just my extreme stress level, which was not a good thing. So the first thing I learned was a breathing exercise by Dr. Andrew Weil. You can Google it, and you can actually do it with him. You do 4 rounds, and altogether it takes 3 minutes. And it's a simple exercise. It's easy to remember. You can do it anywhere. It takes no equipment, and it will significantly reset your parasympathetic nervous system, which is right at the back of your neck and is actually the reptilian brain, which was the first part of the brain in evolution that was developed. It is like magic. And I also use it if I can't go to sleep at night, because it will relax and settle my body and put me out.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I love things that take no time at all, right? Because we're all really busy and there's always the next thing coming. But we also always have time to do what's important. And if what's important is to take a breath, or maybe 3 minutes of breath,
right,
you can fit that in.
And then I've learned a series of other little short 2-minute exercises, and only one of them takes equipment. One is just to put your fingers in your belly button and jiggle.
Oh.
Believe it or not, your belly button was the beginning of life. And so through your belly button, you can change the energy of your entire body.
Isn't that interesting?
And there's even something called a belly button wand, which is a tea. That's a bright yellow plastic that you wouldn't do this in probably a crowd of people.
No, probably not.
People look at it and go, what the heck
What
is that?
are you doing?
But you can put it in your belly button and do it. And you can feel the blood rushing to your brain. And by taking the break and doing that exercise, you're not losing time. You're actually dramatically improving your productivity because your whole body comes alive.
Absolutely. I love that. I've had this conversation with my husband when there was a point where he was working full time and going to grad school full time.
Right.
And he'd get down to the end of the day and he's like, oh God, I just want a nap, but I don't have time. I'm like, look, take the 20-minute nap, because if you don't, it's going to take you 3 times longer to get done what you want to get done.
Right.
Take the nap. And he resisted for a while. And then finally one afternoon, he was just so tired. He's like, okay, fine. I'm going to give your thing a try. And it worked amazingly. He actually went to bed before 10 o'clock that night. And he's been sold on the power nap ever since.
Right. And then there's several other ones, but you can just stand next to your chair and bounce. And let your whole body bounce, and do that for 2 minutes. That energizes your whole body and releases the stress. You can start at your feet and tap all the way around your ankles, all the way up your legs, all the way up to your chest and your gut. and then go down your arms and go up your arms and down the other arm, and then do it to your neck and your shoulders, and then come up to your head and do this. And I can feel the rush just from doing that for a few seconds there. And that releases all of the stress in your body.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that.
And then
I love things that your body just reflexively responds to, right? You don't need to know anything special or do anything special. You just need to tap.
Now, my gift to everyone who's listening to this are 20 videos I did about 20 stressors at the holiday time, because we have all kinds of things that are going on at the holidays that we don't deal with all the time. We overspend, we overeat, we overdrink. We
overcommit ourselves.
Yep, and we don't know how to say no. And there's always that one relative that makes everybody nuts at some family gathering. So these are all suggestions on what do you do about that, because they're important, because you are the most important part of that whole quotient. And there are ways to not let yourself get all stressed out as you go through these 20 different situations.
I love that. That is a fabulous
thing. You have to watch all 20 videos, and I think the longest one is 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, and even if you can't get to all 20 videos, right, because 3 or 4 minutes times 20, that's an hour's worth of commitment. Even if you had to have just a couple of these in your back pocket, it can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it can.
So if you are interested in getting some of those, you can go out to sovereignself.media. And there is a nice little link there with Cheryl's picture and her gift. You just need to click on it and exchange your email address for this wonderful set of videos. And, pick one or two, put them in your toolbox for, after Uncle Joe brings up Trump at the holiday table. I don't care what Uncle Joe's position on Trump is. It will be drama.
Right. So those are all good things to do. So stress is important. Sleep is important. We didn't talk about sleep.
Well, let's take a minute to talk about sleep. We've got a couple of minutes here. What are your best sleep tips?
Well, I do the breathing exercise. That definitely gets me to sleep. I take an Epsom salt bath every night with lavender before I go to bed, which relaxes my whole body. My husband laughs that he's mid-sentence and I'm gone. My head hits the pillow and I'm out, because I've just gotten out of this nice, warm and toasty lavender Epsom salt bath. So that's a great thing to do. And then I have a chakra exercise I do if those don't work, where I bring, if you're familiar with where the chakras are, I bring the light in through the top
of the head,
and I clean it out. And then I come down and take it out of my third eye, and down and take it out of my throat. The throat opens both front and back. Take it out and let it beam out of my heart. Take it down to my solar plexus and let it beam out of there until I finally get to the bottom, which is actually the first chakra, and I shoot the light down to the ground and then down to the core of the earth until I can visualize that it's gotten to the molten center, which is for me bright orange. And then I bring the light back up through all the chakras and then let it just shower my body. If I make it all the way through that exercise, it's a miracle. I'm gone before I get started.
You usually fall asleep before that.
Yeah.
I love it.
It works like a charm.
I love it. Do you have any recommendations for people who maybe don't have bathtubs or are not able to get into a bathtub, an alternative for soaking?
Actually, put Epsom salts into a tub. Put your
like a bucket or a wash tub,
and let your feet soak and relax your body. And put the lavender essential oil, and it should be not synthetic but real essential oil. And you put that in, and then you still smell it. Your feet, as goes your feet, goes your relaxation. So if your feet are relaxed and they're warm and they're toasty, that will help you relax so that you also can get a great night's sleep. I have a girlfriend who is wheelchair bound. Yeah. And so she does the tub of hot water, and it works really well for her.
Yeah, I recommend a turkey roaster. It's kind of like the right size and shape.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And You don't use it 98% of the year anyway.
So, right. That's a good use for it.
So we've got just a few minutes left here. What are your big takeaways? What are like your top 3 tips for people if you're getting started on this journey? Because it can seem like a really big, overwhelming kind of task.
The first thing is learn to talk to your body. If you learn to talk to your body and you learn to listen to it, that will be a great guide for you going forward. My second thing is to cook. If you cook, you control what goes into your mouth and what goes into your body. And one of the interesting things I learned was the body wants to heal, but like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. So if you give it all the great nutrients that it needs to do that, it can put it together in a way so that your body starts to function the way it was always supposed to.
Let me ask you a little something around cooking, because that can seem kind of intimidating to people if you didn't grow up in a house that cooked, and that's happening more and more in this world. What do people really know about getting started cooking? Are there some simple things they can learn to do?
The first thing is keep it simple. It does not have to be complicated. It just has to be quality ingredients. So I only eat pastured meat. It's not a big piece of meat. It's only the size of the palm of my hand. It's almost like a condiment on my plate. Everything else is all the colors of vegetables. So it's easy to make a small piece of meat to go on your plate. And then you can steam your vegetables. You can wash them and throw them on a pan and put them in the oven and bake them and roast them. And
or you can eat them raw, right?
Or you can eat them raw. Actually, raw is good for you too. It doesn't have to be complicated. One of my favorite things to do is to take a whole head of cauliflower, throw it in a pan, steam it, throw it in my blender with some almond milk and some ghee. I'm dairy sensitive, but I can use ghee, and some seasonings, and voila, I have soup in 5 minutes.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And it's nice and it's warm, and I can do it with broccoli, I can do it with asparagus, I can do it with anything. It doesn't have to be complicated. In the beginning, when you start to cook, you don't have the rhythm for cooking. But if you start to do simple things, you start to get a rhythm, so that I go into the kitchen at 6 o'clock at night and pretty much have dinner on the table by 6:45, and I am not cooking that whole time. I go in, I do maybe 10 minutes of something or other, and then we sit down at 6:45 and we eat dinner.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to take a long time, but if you have quality ingredients in your refrigerator, it's a win, because I open up the refrigerator. What vegetables do we want to eat tonight? I tend to make my salad fixings all at once. I clean it all together, put it in a big bowl, and then we just take from the big bowl every night and have a nice big healthy multicolored salad.
Exactly. When I was learning to cook, one of the tricks that I did, because when you're learning it takes longer, is I did the experimental things on the weekend, right? The next skill I was trying to acquire, or a new dish or whatever, I would do that on the weekend, and I would keep the stuff that I kind of had mastered and down to a little bit of a science. I would do that during the week.
But remember, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yes, I know, but
just
occasionally we like to expand.
I know. Well, and the more you cook, the more you're going to get more creative with how you cook.
Exactly.
But the key is to get the nutrients.
Exactly.
And you're not going to get that and my other rule is, when you're buying something at the grocery store, if you can't pronounce the ingredient or you don't know what it is, you don't buy it. You put it back on the shelf. And that could be something as simple as natural flavors.
Natural flavors.
Which is often MSG.
Yes, the stuff they hide under natural flavors.
Yeah, I don't know what natural flavors is. Well, guess what? We know that MSG is bad for us, so they sort of tuck it away with a whole bunch of other stuff that's not good for us under that term. So if you don't know what it is or you can't pronounce it, you just don't go there.
I love that. That's really, really solid advice. And remind us, what is the title of your book again? Because you have all kinds of amazing information that's going to shortcut their research cycle.
I not only show you what I found that was toxic in my life, but what I chose to replace it with.
Ooh.
If you buy my book, I send you a workbook. because people said, oh, it's overwhelming. No, it's not. You take the workbook, you can read my book in any order. You print the chapter of the workbook that corresponds to what you're reading. You write down what you find is toxic in your life. And when you run out of the old toxic product, you buy the new clean one. And so it took me 5 years, but by the time it's about toxic load. So everything that you eliminate that's toxic is one step closer to health.
Yep, just bring it forward. Thank you so much for being with us today, Cheryl.
Thank you for having me. I love telling people about this because I want us all to be healthy.
And so I thank all of you for spending your time with us this evening to learn more about how you can be healthier and how you can live a better life. And one of the ways you can live a better life in the coming decade is to get started with the 2020 resolutions, kepsummit.com. Even if you've never made a resolution, or worse yet, never kept a resolution, I would definitely recommend joining us for this, because it will set what you know about resolutions on its ear and give you the tools that you need to make the things that you want to have happen in your life happen in your life. And until I see you next, go out there and live soul first.
Thank you.